In an earlier video, I talked about the criticism, notably in the United States, that Israel receives so much from the United States and gives nothing in return, and the same criticism is leveled throughout the world. I explained how the fact is Israel is one of the first nations to respond to human disasters around the world, both natural and man-made, and I mentioned Israel responding to the earthquake disaster in Mexico City, to disasters in Haiti, and all throughout the world, and providing other values to the world. And I'd like to address that now from the standpoint of technology and innovation and all the things that we rely on Israel and Jewish technology for in our day-to-day lives. First of all, let's start with Nobel Prize winners. As of 2023, there were 965 Nobel Prize laureates, of which 216 were Jewish. That's 22% of Nobel laureates being Jewish, despite Jews only accounting for only 0.2% of the world population. And you can see it broken down on the screen by subject areas. And now let's talk about specific technology and innovations that are so essential to our lives that come from Jews in Israel. Let's start with your cell phone. All cell phones operate off of a very, very sophisticated mathematical algorithm that was once thought just completely impractical, if not impossible. And it's called the Viterbi algorithm, named after the inventor, who is Jewish. And it is the basis of the technology, not only in cell phones, but satellite, deep space communications, speech recognition, and recognition of biological data. Instant messaging, your text messaging. That is technology that originated in Israel. The original Intel microprocessor for all PCs, that was developed in Israel, where Intel for years has had an office. Online language translation, an Israeli invention. And now let's go to medicine and pharmaceuticals. Polio vaccines. Polio was once a scourge, totally disabling and crippled people and resulted in deaths. And there were 2 polio vaccines that were developed that ultimately eradicated the disease, both by Jews, Jonas Salk and Albert Sabin. People with coronary artery disease, and instead of having to have open heart surgery now, sometimes blockages can be repaired using a stent that is surgically inserted through a vein or artery in the leg and manipulated up to wherever it needs to be placed. And flexible stents to open arteries were developed in Israel. Pressure bandages to treat traumatic injuries out in the field before somebody can reach the hospital, to stop hemorrhaging, bleeding before they die. Robotic spine surgery. The pill cam. The pill cam is a tiny camera the size of a pill that can be swallowed, and then it is tracked as it goes through the digestive system so that the entire digestive tract can be seen without using an endoscope down the throat or going up the other way. And so that's a huge benefit and cost saving. Multiple types of wearable health monitoring devices. A drug that has been developed for the treatment of Parkinson's disease. And let's turn now to agriculture and water desalination and conservation. Drip irrigation, which has been around for years, and we've had it forever in the United States. That was developed and originated in Israel. Even the little cherry tomato was developed in Israel. Water desalination. Israel, of course, is a desert, and it was thought absolutely uninhabitable and undevelopable except for places right along the coast. But Israel has been at the forefront and has turned Israel into somewhat of an oasis. In fact, Israel is the only place on earth where they have forests that are actually expanding. They've planted trees forever, but they've actually been able to continue to water and develop forests and provide shade and sustenance. Desalination has been a critical part of doing that, and it is technology that is very much needed in the United States, particularly in our very arid climates. And in Carlsbad, which is a city in San Diego, California, where I live, there is a large desalination plant that was designed and built and is operated by an Israeli company. Israel developed computerized monitoring of public water systems so that leaks can be detected early on before tens, hundreds of thousands, millions of gallons of water are just lost, which is, of course, so important in arid areas. And now let's turn to finally security and cyber security. Israel has been at the forefront of that technology for years, including facial recognition, software, and so forth. And in addition to the technology, Israel has been a partner to the United States in assisting and training U.S. law enforcement with all kinds of security and cybersecurity to help us with our protection against terrorism and otherwise. And lastly, a lot of companies in the U.S. have opened and maintained offices in Israel for years. And even the mundane food items like cheese and dairy, Kraft Foods is going to open a subsidiary in Israel for a new brand called Cheeses of Nazareth. I'm kidding, of course. But all the other technology I've talked about is all true. As always, don't take my word for it. Do your own research, find out for yourself.